Hello, everybody. Today's presentation will be a little bit more technical than usual. Those of you who like this kind of thing, buckle your safety belts. This weekend's gospel is from Matthew 16, passage extremely familiar, maybe overly familiar to Roman Catholics, where Jesus tells Peter that he is going to be the rock, the petrom of the church. This passage is present in some form in all three synoptic gospels, but it is quite different in each of the three, and the differences matter. It basically begins with Jesus asking his apostles, "Who do people say that I am?" They give answers like, maybe one of the prophets, Jeremiah or something. Then Jesus asks, "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter speaks up and says, "You are the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Now, in Mark's version, which is always understood to be the first and earliest, Jesus immediately says, "Well, don't tell anybody that I am the Messiah," and then proceeds to explain why, that Jesus is going to have to suffer, which is completely contrary to what everybody at that time thought the Messiah was going to do. The Messiah was supposed to be a warlord who brought together the tribes of Israel, maybe with God's power, but still a figure of victory, not of suffering. So when you acclaim Jesus as Christ or Messiah at that time, you're giving completely the wrong picture of what he's really going to be, a suffering servant. So in Mark, it's straightforward. Peter says, "Oh, you're the Christ," and Jesus doesn't deny it, but he says, "Well, don't tell anybody that." But in Matthew, we see Matthew has consciously inserted some verses that really don't quite fit that narrative. After Peter says, "You are the Christ," Jesus then responds, "Oh, blessed are you, Simon, son of John. You're going to be called Peter from now on, rock or Kepha. And upon this rock I will build my church, give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven." Tremendous statement of authority, right, to Peter. And it is there, and there's really no way you can read the New Testament without having to grapple with this, okay? So Matthew has inserted passages about Peter's role in the church that seem to indicate he is a governor, a person with authority. Okay, fine. Now let's see how the other Gospels dealt with this. Like I said, Mark doesn't have it at all. But what about Luke? Well, Luke doesn't have an exact same thing, but in the Last Supper, Jesus says to Peter, to Simon, "Satan has asked to sift all of you," plural, "like wheat, but when you," singular, "Peter, have converted, have recovered from your denial of me, go ahead and strengthen your brothers." Different concept, right? Peter's still kind of special. He will fall in a special way by denying Christ, but then he will be the one, after he gets it back together, to strengthen his brothers, not tell them what to do, to make them stronger. See? And then let's look at how John dealt with this. John, too, his gospel is finished. Jesus is risen. And then later on, decades later, they tack on another chapter, chapter 21, where they see Jesus on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. He sits them down, feeds them, and then asks Peter again, "Simon, do you love me?" And Peter says 3 times, "Yes, Lord, I love you." And Peter says and Jesus says each time, "Peter, tend my flock, feed my sheep." So Peter is to be a shepherd. So we have 3 images given for the role of Peter. Okay, a shepherd, a strengthener, and a governor. Okay, all 3 are present. And if you ask most Catholics, the only one we know of is from Matthew, right? That Peter is to govern the church, to bind and to loose. So much so, if you go to St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, and any of you have gone to the high altar, and you look up at the dome, right? What have they got inscribed around the edge of the dome in Latin? "You are Peter. Upon this rock I will build my church. What you hold bound on earth is bound in heaven," right? So we've been overemphasizing that governing, controlling role of Peter's for about 600 years, instead of also looking at his shepherding and strengthening role as to the other apostles. So Catholics need to deal with this. The Orthodox deal with it fine. They see the role of the Pope of Rome as being first among equals, which is probably closer to what you see in the scriptures. And for my couple of evangelical listeners, I would just urge you to think about the continuing role of Peter in the church, whatever that may be for you. Have a good week.